back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sin, and we got another kind of SheRa article. It's mainly about Noelle Stevenson and her new memoirs. God, her comics memoirs, but there is a little bit of SheRa thrown in this article. So we get to delve into the mind of a mad woman and learn a little more about season 3, which isn't all that wonderful, but here we go. This one's going to be a doozy. It's from io9, so you know it's garbage. And exclusive, SheRa showrunner Noelle Stevenson reveals a new comics memoir. For those who don't know, Noelle Stevenson is 27 years old. Wrote a memoir. 27. She's so full of herself. This whole article just shows you how selfish, how egotistical, how narcissistic Noelle Stevenson is, and how she's a very damaged lady, and she has a whole hell of a lot of problems, and she doesn't even try to hide the fact that all of her stories are self-inserts. They are her own personal problems that she's putting out there, but living through them through characters. So we get to be her unwilling psychiatrist in all of the things she's ever done. So here we go. Let's start the article. And for those who haven't watched one of these videos before, I'll read a paragraph or two and stop, react, and then keep going. It's kind of a long one, so I'm expecting this is going to be probably about a 20-30 minute video. But we begin. Author, creator, and SheRa and the Princess of Power showrunner Noelle Stevenson is about to get personal. Why do they gotta be cutesy? HarperCollins, so unfortunate that they stooped this low, has announced her latest project, a graphic novel memoir called The Fire That Never Goes Out. io9 has an exclusive first look, as well as an interview with Stevenson about the experiences that shaped her story and what we can expect from SheRa in season 3. The Fire That Never Goes Out is a collection of 7 or 8 years of Stevenson's personal comics, which come together in a memoir about her life. So she's 27, and these are 8 years of her comics, so this is when she was 20. How does one write a memoir before 45, let alone 27, and only 7 years worth of that life? Oh my God, this is so stupid. She's so full of herself. Oh my goodness, where the hell am I? The Fire Never Goes Out is a collection of 7 or 8 years of Stevenson's personal comics, which come together in a memoir about her life. Some of the comics were previously published on her Tumblr page. Imagine that. But others are stories and comics she's never shared before. It's an interesting and unique look at Stevenson's life. Oh yeah, very unique. And as she was living it, making it less retrospective and more of a journey through someone else's journey. Rewrite that sentence. That was terrible. That was just awful. Okay, so I'm gonna probably show the pictures. It's in the article. I'll leave a link to the article. But the art is mediocre at best. It is very Tumblr. It is very low budget webcomic, and you can see the way Noelle draws herself is exactly the way she draws Adora, how the character was drawn in SheRa. So that is a self-insert. So all the little problems and everything she has with Catcher, these are Noelle Stevenson's actual problems she's probably had with girlfriends in relationships in the past, and she gets to put it out there for everyone, and we get to deal with it. Stevenson's graphic novel memoir arrives January 7th, 2020. Oh God, if you guys want me to go through this when that comes out, I'll do it, but man, whew. Oh man, to spend money on something like this. But if the fans want it, I'll do it. Above is an exclusive reveal of the cover, and below you'll find a peek at some of the pages. We asked Stevenson about the memoir and found out which comics means the most to her and why she felt like giving her audience a look at what essentially became a comics journal. I thought it was a memoir. We also asked her about SheRa's 3rd season, and Stevenson hinted at Adora and a Catcher are about to come together in a big, big way. Spoiler alert, she doesn't really say that. I don't know where the hell this person got that. Here we go. Time for the actual interview. io9. Do these personal comics tell an overarching narrative about your life, or are they more stream of consciousness? They looked at it, so they know what it is. So why are they even asking this question? All these are sort of drawn in the moment from the time that I was 19 years old. There, in the moment, reflections of my internal life. Oh, jeez. Yeah, 19. You're so deep and well versed. my life changing, growing up. You're 19, you're already grown up. I think that the narrative becomes sort of about those changes. It starts with, sort of being out in the world for the first time, being on my own. And these comics became the best way I could express that. And I haven't figured out yet who I was and who I was trying to be. And the comics were a way of exploring that. And then here we go. I'm going to actually read the comics pages. They're on here. And look at this picture. That is Adora 100%. Do you even remember a time when you didn't feel like you were on fire? Whether it lit you up or burned you apart. I don't think I've ever felt like I was on fire. This is a weird concept for Noelle. She's always feels like quote unquote on fire. This is a conflicted soul. I'm playing psychiatrist right now. She has a conflicted soul, and she doesn't know what the hell she is because all she does is destroy. She probably walked away from her family, all the real connections she had in her life. She completely destroyed everything, so she's constantly in conflict, which is a horrible thing to be. And writing little webcomics isn't necessarily the way to get out of it. io9. What story stands out to you among your collection and why? There's one comic that I think it's the one of the most raw comics that I've ever made because it was a stream of consciousness creation. She said that like 4 times now, this whole stream of consciousness creation. It's ridiculous. It's called Holy Ghost. Well, here we go, because she's super big into religion, right? And it's about the first time I ever walked out of church. It started something I ended up doing a lot in the future in personal comics. Walking out of churches? Then why the hell did you walk in if you're going to just walk out? Where it's all written in second person, like I'm talking to someone else instead of myself. Let me get a bit of distance. That's an okay literary device to do some of your work that way, but she says she does it a lot. You need to break what you're used to. It seems to be like a crutch. Like she can separate herself from probably the terrible and horrible things she did to her family. Oh, that was the character. It wasn't me, but it was you, Noelle. You're kind of a broken person. It's this moment when I was 17 or 18 when I walked out of church for the first time. I drove out into this park and went up to a hill and stood on the hill for an hour. Did you really? Did you walk out of church? Yeah. Did you? I stood on a hill for an hour. God, get over yourself. Looking for God and finding and not finding him. Well, because you're probably a soulless freak of a person. That's why you couldn't. I created it the first Easter that I didn't go to church because I was wrestling with the conflicted feelings of that. And that was the comic that resulted from that. It was pure. Well, let's put pure in quotations. It was just drawing and not even sure what I was doing with that. Did you? I gotta take you for your word, but I say you did not stand on that hill for an hour. You didn't do that. You didn't look for God because you were never looking for him, so that's a lie. I guarantee you that is an outward, complete fallacy. Did you draw a comic about you not going to church? Yeah, you're narcissistic like that, so you would have done something like that. I never been sure how to share it before. So I'm glad to find it found a home in this book. So you like drew this little comic and just like left it in a drawer somewhere? Like who does that? I think that was a big turning point for me. Just creating the comic and realizing I could talk about these things, even if it was just in a way that made sense to me. You didn't talk about it. You wrote it on a piece of paper and hid it from everyone. You still have this internal conflict. You didn't deal with those feelings. You just like bottled them up or wrote them on a piece of paper. Oh, the feelings aren't in me anymore. They're on this paper. But that's not real, Noelle. You're running away from your feelings. This is why you're crazy. And I guess this is another little excerpt here. It keeps you warm. It eats you alive. This is talking about that fire again. What is she, freaking Dalzim from Street Fighter? I was so tired, but the fire was still there, and it propelled me stubbornly forward, even as it consumed everything inside of me. I thought I could fix everything, that if I just tried harder. And if he didn't fix the things, no one would. I'd live in constant dread, or that one small slip or mistake that would ruin everything forever. I carried it all, an obsession detail in my head, and eventually I stopped being able to turn it off. You are a very odd person. If you are worrying about making mistakes, you're a human being. Every single person who's ever lived has made thousands and thousands and thousands of mistakes, from tiny ones to gigantic, life-changing ones. And I think that's going to ruin, quote unquote, everything forever. There's things you never learned growing up, and you came to this conclusion like at 18, I feel sorry for you, Noelle. You didn't have the right kind of people in your life. You didn't have the right kind of role models to teach you that life is making mistakes. It's what you do after the mistake that makes the difference. The choices you make, what you learn from things. It looks like you learned all the wrong lessons. And you're already an adult at this time, so it's going to be super hard to get away from that. io9. What are you hoping readers get out of the fire that never goes out? I don't know, to realize how freaking crazy you are? Stevenson, when I made these comics, I was doing them so I would feel less alone. Yeah. How is writing a little comic on a piece of paper, never sharing it with anyone, hiding it away, make you feel less alone? Unless you're a crazy person and you think the people on the page are real. I had always struggled with telling people or showing people how I really felt. Something was getting lost in communication. I was trying to reach out to other people and establish connections. The comic gave me a language to do that I hadn't had before. Again, she said she's never shown these to anyone, so how the hell did she make connections? What to the nothingness? I hope they make the reader feel less alone. It's going to probably make them feel really weird and never wanting to actually meet you. I suspect that quite a lot of people feel these stories, period. I'm sharing what's in my heart, which is an empty, soulless, disgusting heart, but asking for people to relate to them in their own struggles and their own lives. I couldn't relate to you, Noelle. You're a very odd, selfish person who literally you live for you and not for anyone else. You probably ran away from your family, probably had a long string of just physical relationships, no connections. And look what happened to you. You're a freaking freak of a woman now. Another excerpt from the book. I won't get into exactly what happened, maybe another time, but it was brutal and swift and merciless. Again, without knowing exactly what you mean by that, you could just be, oh, my dad told me you better go to church or you're out of my house. Yes, is that wrong to do? I do believe you shouldn't force someone to do something. But if this sounds like this might have even been like an abuse situation, then if that happened to you, I feel for you. No one should have to deal with physical or verbal or emotional abuse. But without the context, I can't really know what she's talking about here. This was it. This is the thing I've been most afraid of. I was going to be assigned the label of a difficult woman, another one who just couldn't take the pressure. Well, it's okay if you can't take the pressure. It's not everyone is able to rise above things and be that person who's I'm not trying to say that you are a leader or someone who needs to be in a position of power. It's okay. You aren't a person that can take the pressure. You've shown it many times. You've never really improved in any of your art. You have no one telling you any criticisms. It's always praise. You are that woman who can't take pressure. A difficult woman, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Human beings are difficult. Everyone's difficult. It's just, this is playing into the whole misogynistic stuff, and it's a fallacy. My self-image shattered, but the truth was there hadn't been much left of it to begin with, and finally, I knew what I had to do. See, without the context of what happened, was it a boss firing her? Was it her dad? Was it her mom? I don't know the context, so I can't really build a picture here. I sought out help. This isn't a resolution, a happy ending, it's the beginning. I will still struggle and fall and break again in the future. That's true. You're always going to have successes and failures. And you're probably going to have more failures than successes in your life. That's why you have to treasure the things you've done well and be willing to keep working towards doing well. There will be lights, highs and lows, and the fire is something I'll have to carefully manage for the rest of my life. But it takes places I've been broken will not... Okay, but the places I've been broken will not break so easily in the same way again. This fire, I'm starting to think, was this like an addiction? It's weird because that's like an analogy of like alcohol or drugs or any type of like addictive behavior. It can feel good, but it can consume you and destroy you. So maybe this is an addiction that she had. And, she's just using metaphorical ways to do it. Again, here's another okay-ish drawn picture, but it's her style. Love your younger self and let them die. I don't really agree with that. Loving yourself is very important. You have to. If you don't respect yourself, no one else can respect you. If you don't love yourself, no one else can love you. And the human creature is a social creature. We do we search for connections and relationships. And you made mistakes in your life, everyone has, and understanding those mistakes and taking the lessons to heart and growing as a human being and let them die. I don't like that. That's just weird. That's a really weird personal hang up, but without the further context, I really can't think about what the hell she's talking about. It's been a hard year, an ugly year, a long year. It's been a good year. On to the next. Well, that's everyone's year. Everyone has ups and downs, Noelle. You're not the only one. io9, you have so much going on, including Netflix's SheRa and the Princesses of Power and all of its side projects. How do you balance work, your comics, and larger projects? I don't even try. That's your next question. The comics are, honestly, I treat them like therapy. Really, Noelle? You treat your work as therapy, and we're like the unwilling psychiatrist to watch all of your therapy sessions splashed out in front of us? I keep drawing them no matter how busy I got because it's a good way to wind down and sort of spend a little time with myself. I didn't make them with the expectation that they would be published. That's just something my editor brought to me. And here's another thing, which I'm calling a lot of BS. If you drew these comics and they were like your personal things and you had them like in a journal or something, how the hell did your editor ever get a hold of them? How did this HarperCollins publicist lady ever see them if you weren't sharing them with people? So, yeah, you're a liar. Working, especially on SheRa, working on these properties that are so labor intensive requires so much of yourself. What's labor intensive about SheRa? The art is bad to horrible. The writing is formulaic, cliche, and no surprises. What's so hard about writing this incredibly crappy show? If she was doing a really good job, then I'd be like, hey, you know what? It is a lot of work, even though the art's bad, but the story's good. It's funny. The art is better than the story, and the art's terrible. So what does that say? So I don't see how, if this is killing you, Noelle, I don't know. You can't handle anything else. You are the woman who can't handle pressure. Especially on SheRa, working on these properties that are so labor intensive, requires so much of yourself. You start to lose touch with yourself as a person and your own body and your own mind. Like you're not doing a tour in Fallujah at the liberation of Iraq. Come on, you're writing a freaking cartoon. Calm the hell down. So these comics became about a way for me to start establishing that I was still this person, that I still have this life, and I still had this body. Oh, someone was taking that from you? Oh God, Noelle, you really can't take pressure to really feel like I'm losing my body and my mind. I would love to see that. I would love to see what she looks like when she's in fact losing her mind. Yeah, okay. It was something I was doing, even though there were the most hectic and just to keep myself somewhat grounded. A lot of them are pretty second long doodles I did on a post in sitting at my desk in the middle of a really hectic schedule. Just this moment I would steal from myself and write down what I was feeling and give myself a moment to take my own feelings to my own inner life into account. My me. So narcissistic. My God, everything's about her. What about the rest of your team? Isn't there? She makes it sound like she's the only person. She's writing SheRa, she's drawing SheRa, she's animating SheRa, she's voice acting things, she's editing SheRa. No, you have a huge team. But no, it's all about me. It's only me. Noelle, you're a terrible person. io9, that last paragraph. What can we look forward to with SheRa and the Princesses of Power in Season 3? Told you it'd be about SheRa. I'm really excited for everyone to see SheRa's Season 3. In my opinion, each season just keeps getting better. Well, there's only been 2. So, and 2 was half the episodes and nothing happened. So, I don't know. I think she said this before in other interviews that I've done, but it just makes me laugh every time because how could she possibly say that? This season's going to be, there's a lot of real dramatic stuff happening. Oh, I bet there is. There's some really high concept episodes coming up. Oh my God. There's 2 things I don't ever want to hear anyone ever say when they're coming up with a story. If you're gonna pitch a story to me, or if I'm hearing someone explain something, number 1, subvert expectations and high concept. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Just say I got some really powerful episodes coming up. High concept. You're so into yourself and you're so self-impressed that like, oh, that idea I had, it's so high concept. Even though no one ever told you that, just you came up with that. Noelle, stop. And they start a sentence with and we're really just explored the internally of the characters more than ever. mainly Adora and Catra. It's the season where the paths bring them back together and what comes of that. And that's the end of this. There's no follow-up questions. Here's the thing. As we remember at the end of season 2, Catra was about to be killed by Hordak. He literally had her like in that chamber with no oxygen. So what I would like to happen is her crew. So I'm talking Lonnie, Kyle, Lizard Boy, Scorpia. They say, F Hordak, we're not going to let him kill our friend. They go rescue her. They get the hell out of the fright zone. And now there are a third faction for, so we got the evil Horde. We got Catra and her crew. They're separate from the Horde, but they're not on the good guy side. And then we have everyone, and we have the rebellion. I think that'd be a nice little like triangle going on. Or they do the stupid thing and Hordak just banishes her. Why? What's with the banishments? Just kill these people, especially powerful people. Like he was gonna banish Shadow Reaver. Why not just kill her? Even though technically she was kind of depowered, but he knows how tricky. She's very resourceful. You just get rid of your problems. If she's gonna live, she's gonna come back and try to get me. But of course, it's a cartoon, so no one can ever get killed. But yeah, these memoirs. The Memoirs of a Mad Woman. She's kind of crazy, and I don't think she's ever gotten over it. She's a conflicted person who doesn't have any real connections to help her overcome these conflicts. But in the end, even if you have the greatest support system in the world, who you are on the inside, that's the battle, and you got to overcome that. But it looks like she's stuck in this world of everything's everyone else's fault. Everything that happened to me, I bear no responsibility. As soon as you realize that you have control over your own life and outside influences, good or bad, negative or positive, you decide what you do with your life. I don't think she's even got there yet. She's 27 and she still hasn't figured out what makes her happy because she seems to still be completely distraught and broken and all messed up inside. Millions of people go to work and have stressful jobs and they don't have to resort to this kind of, self-bravado and how I'm so great and look at my great pictures and I'm making a memoir. They can get along without doing any of those things. So I don't know, Noelle, you're a odd little lady, and hopefully when this thing comes out, depending how expensive it is, if it's like under $5, I'll probably do a review of it. But yeah, if it's anything more than that, it's going to be kind of a stretch. But yeah, another article for Noelle, and this is number 7,000 of positive articles from her from these types of websites. Garbage tier. I wish they would ask her real questions, but what can you do? Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time. There's going to be another Swiftwind episode on Thursday, I believe, and then we got season 3 right around the corner, so hooray! Crimson Saint here. Thanks for watching the video. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single upload. If you have any tips or story ideas, hit us up on Twitter at C15Podcast, or better yet, join our Discord server, link in the description below.